prospects of a reboot will be tough. Maybe you could do it in Storm on the Rift Island. But even then, the whole lobby is going to be watching, waiting. If Zara gets picked back up, he might just have to play this as a solo.
Yeah, I know the Ox are trying to go for him. They actually have a lot of loot to work with here. The metal from Zara, some of the slurps, but they want the elimination. They want the 4 points. Zone's moving though. Got to balance positioning and aggression.
The only problem I have with this team, Shah, is this is another game where the zone is favorable for them, and they're not looking good at materials, right? Anderlecht has a good amount of metal, wood and brick non-existent.
He just picked up a little bit of extra metal too, so beforehand, they were absolutely shambles. We'll have to pick things back up. PKR and Link saw them elevate their game a little bit towards the back half of yesterday. Started popping up. I think this is one of the teams who were getting bottlenecked moving in through the mid-game and started to figure out what was happening and going wrong. They're going to be based up beside Sinet and Irazumi, who usually have the Rift Island, so this is going to be one of the games where we don't see them with too much power. Nevertheless, both teams should be relatively low on Surge. They're up against Fastaroki, Versace Tayson on one side as well. And we'll tune in with that fight, actually. They're going head-to-head. This is, I would say, slightly Tayson favorite.
Yeah, and they don't even need to fight, right? They don't need to fight. Well above on Surge, their loot's okay. I wonder if Tayson actually has movement of his own, right? Because Mustachio's has that blade. Zone's relatively nearby, so if they both have blades, they'll be able to get into zone again with much ease. Splitting the materials now as well, I think. So figure out just where both are.
Getting scanned multiple times. Even though you're close to zone, this is one of the most important things, is making the right call here.
Yeah, to be fair, in some of their best games, even the win they had yesterday in day one, they were able to win working with relatively low materials, right? The materials right now aren't looking incredibly fruitful, and I think that's part of why they're thinking, can we get a refresh? Can we put ourselves in a better spot for that without giving up too much? More
teams getting attracted here. Sinet and Irazumi talked about how they might be low on Surge. They're also right on top of Fastaroki's wall, so 2 teams behind Versace and Tayson. 4 opportunities in terms of players to get some loot. It's Hydro and Fastaroki that actually benefit from the low Surge points of their enemies from before, and they'll be able to pick up all those mats. A few extra left over. I don't think Tayson and Versace have the time to get him, but they're still knocking on this door. Man, why does it look like every time we tune in with these guys, they're in a different, completely different game with a different rule set? No one ever affects them. 758 above Surge, a few more elims, like, it confuses me.
I'm telling you, man, every single game yesterday, you just see these guys on dead side of the zone. It's just so easy for them, the way they play it out. They pick people off throughout the games. It's the Queasy Vino show. What more can I say? It is the Queasy Vino show. It's why they're so far ahead of the rest.
They land towards the right side of where the zone is. Kenjutsu crossing, and somehow they found the dead side on the left. They're playing completely mirrored, just knowing exactly where to be at all times. It's huge. And this is also a unique perspective. Alabuka with a pick in the feed, and Putrick also alive on your screen. You never see that in day one. And they're both getting to play out their games.
Yeah, but what would the implications of that be, right? I think we saw when given the chance to play games out, Malabuka and Thomas were absolutely electric. They only had about 2 games where they got to play, and it was enough to put them in the top 10. They were about 8th place.
I want to elevate past that. Lacha and Mixon want to hold on to their top 3, top 4. And for these guys, we tuned in with a segment that showed us exactly how much they invested in the early game for all their tags. Now, they get to not really worry about the damage, but they do really have to think about what to do next, being low on mats with not many teams beside them to fight. Have to be very careful with their next move. Meanwhile, Thomas, Malabuka, 3 eliminations already. Endgame hasn't even started yet.
But will they be as dominant in this endgame without Pulse Rifle, right? We've seen them in hand. They allow them to just sort of get out of really difficult spots with, you know, relative ease. But without those in hand, without that power, will they be as powerful in this lobby?
Only have rare blades as well, so they will definitely be nerfed. But can still pack such a punch. Refsguard, Hellfire. Not used to just seeing them ever in solo situations, but Refsguard will be alone looking to see what he can do next. Very good at picking apart solos when he can find them, but this time it's a bit of a mess. The zone is so far away. He has to just get out of here as fast as possible, buying a lot of time for his kinetic blade to recharge, freezing the way to blocking lines of sight, just 54 HP. 2 shots with the red eye. He's gone. A geyser to use, but might just be a bit too exposed. 231 below on Surge. It's looking down atrocious for Refsguard here. I'm not sure he can find much. Urge barely even survive at all.
Yeah, but if he gets into zone, there's a good chance he'll be delivering max materials to some team that's able to pick him up. He sees an opportunity to run in a box. They close up right as he's there. Couldn't quite find the shot. It wouldn't have put him up above anyway. 217 down below.
Who's getting this loot, Llama? Look at the materials down below. 400 in each and every single one. Teeny's here. He's not going to be able to grab it. They might just be lost in Storm. Refsguard has about 10 more seconds to make a decision. 5 more on the clock for Refsguard. And who gets it here? It's going to be huge for Pablo Wingo and Bevies, it looks like, to pick up all those mats.
That's a nice find because they struggled with staying efficient in endgames, right? Those materials are going to send them through so far into this game. Queasy and Vino, on the other hand, once again, surprise, surprise, dead side of zone. Don't have to worry too much about that next rotation. But the best thing about these 8th zone movements for these guys yesterday were the timing's always just perfect. Every single time, always in a good spot. Seti and Cammy also in a very similar situation. This is what separates the 2 best teams in this lobby right now.
They haven't even taken a single shot yet. And you know what they say, power, usually silence. Both these teams looking to elevate soon. Right now, just staying back. They're actually focusing on Tayson and Mustache coming in for the backside. Gonna both base up close by.
Just these 3 teams in proximity of each other have more points than everybody else in the lobby. It's ridiculous.
And there they are, 1, 2, and 4 on the boards, box to box. Jalen POV might not see where they are, but they will be here soon.
Way up above everybody else in the lobby. Jalen and Twy trying to make up for yesterday. They didn't quite have the performance they would have wanted. First time grand finalists. But here in day number 2, activating some of their qualifier form.
Reason Janice, huge time to get a refresh, but it's not going to be the most expensive one. Just a few mats in, and they'll try to split. Reason giving actually all his mats over to Janice to use. At least the brick and metal. Seti's still picking up a few players in the feed, so even though they're boxed next to Titans, they're finding ways to make their spot the most efficient. Thomas and Malibuca, trouble in Surge Paradise, but on that low ground, they'll find so many teams side by side. You give these guys even a little bit of a window edit, they're gonna end up 500 damage, so just give them a little bit of time.
Again, Pablo Wingo and Bevies right towards the front of the zone. We know they have a lot of mats to work with. Cammy and Seti starting to run low, but opportunities for refreshes will arise as the first move in zone continues. These guys are moving through on that left side, and they're making their way to the front. Want to clear out this layer as well, make sure they have the claim. Vino and Queasy looking to chop height. We know they did it every single time, and it's always around this similar point, chopping things out. And they're going to start to katana towards the front. Jalen and Twy, they are now the ones being chopped out. And Vino and Queasy, again, just wait to time it perfectly before they go up.
Second protective layer, all they want to do right now is just wait. Let everyone else just waste Matt. Let everyone else just go down to the pressure. Reason might be the next one here, as he's forced into the depths of the ocean to just try to stay alive. Not much else to see from him, though. Podesai falling in the feed as well. Thomas HD getting Zangy, so that team still very much active on low. Reason might be their next target. He's Tayson on the left box and more fear on the right. Up top on height. Queasy Vino also waiting and absolutely grab it. Perfectly timed. Jalen forced to move away. Twee as well. To start off the day, 120 points ahead and win the game as well would be huge for this team.
It would just be a continuation of the dominance they showed us yesterday. 4 out of 6 wins. Can they make it 5 out of 7? Reason, he's just trying to stay alive for a bit longer, right? The more placement points he can get, the better. But he cannot afford to take a lick of damage. If anybody sets their eyes on him, it would be an easy pickup. And that's it right there. Tayson and Mustache. They're not going to be looking towards the skies, but here on this layup, they're going to look to see if anybody's lurking in the back. They need a refresh and desperately.
They'll just pick apart anyone who's down below. Meanwhile, Map and iDrop still moving through. I found a few, 5 total as a team. On the left side, just riding that zone line. Kiro, they've identified one solo, but choose to elevate a little bit. Meanwhile, Thomas HD looking down for top 4 eliminations. The roadblock with Vortex and Japco in the way. They elect to go a little bit towards the right, but then delay just a little bit to confuse enemies, to their exact whereabouts and now have wrapped around their opponents and are about to have a drop on the backside of Gripey.
They're just gonna have to jump in. They have no materials left. They want to take this fight. They don't want to have to drop down to low just early. And they're just trying to force their way into the boxes. If they had the pulse rifles, it'd be a bit easier. But still making it happen in that box. Thomas picks up the map. Slick sees the one down.
Oh.
And he picks up another. Malabuka's fallen though in that exchange. And so now it's up to Thomas to clutch up.
Every angle, every degree, his shot, his awareness just magnetic. If there's a person's head on his screen, it's gonna go down in mere moments. Thomas HD will find some reprieve to see what he wants to do next. Meanwhile, Vino, he's just going fishing. Up, down, left, right, doesn't matter where he is. He's finding Elims as much as he can.
They picked off Jalen and Twy from height, but Vino finally confirmed the elim onto Twy. Mustache now jumping in and around, just barely getting onto low ground. Joining up with Tayson. They see a player on the wall. Now he's above. Can they cut him out? Tayson looking to deal damage. Dropping down. Needs to be careful of the team above him. You know who it is. Queasy and Vino. They're ready to strike.
Mosh pit in the end game, and now there's just two players left down in the box. Slivers of HP. Vino tries to find that left shot, and it connects. It connects well. Another one, and call EU a monarchy, because we have two kings. Game after game after game. It's Queasy and Vino.
It's so repetitive. It's so predictable. Every single game in this finals, they look like a threat. And here, in game number 7, day number 2, already being in first place, already dominating the region, and they've won another game, 5 out of 7, Shia.
Effortless every time, which is the scariest part, because it means that no one's getting close to interrupting anything they want to do. You want height? Wait those 2 zones. Let Vino cook and chop, and then take it. After that, Queasy, you can build up this man, do the work. If anyone gets beside Vino, Queasy has a shot on them once again. Pablo down. Vino finds everyone all around. I mean, this is just perfect Fortnite every single game.
And the scary thing is this is even better than what we saw from them in some of the games yesterday. Even more limbs, right? That was the one thing that you could say maybe they didn't quite do perfectly last game. A bit passive in that regard. This time around, double-digit elimination game. These guys are just unreal.
If the guys who are getting the VRs are taking the elims, that's one thing. That's trouble for the region. If they're already 100 points plus ahead, might need to call it right now, Levin.
Look, they're very, very lucky that the rest of the lobby still has a couple more games to try show us something, because right now it is absolutely, unequivocally the Queasy and Vino show.
Adam, analyst, what else do we have to say?
We're all just stood here shrugging, going, happened again, happened again. I mean, not only were they trying to break the elimination record there with 11 eliminations, which is incredibly impressive, but breaking a record right there with the most ever in any region, victory royales in a row, 4 of them in grand finals. The record-breaking duo right there, this is outstanding. Taco, I mean, what more can we say? They're just unreal.
Yeah, if the 4 in a row wasn't impressive enough, you have to consider that it's 5 in total. That statistic alone is just menacing to look at, because Veno and Queasy, you would almost think that we're just trying to show a continuation of like some sort of VOD replay from yesterday, but no, it is just these two creating their own mental and creating their own meta.
Queasy and Veno, you guys are different. I actually don't know how to comprehend what they've just done. Game number 1 of day 2, absolutely no nerves. I saw on social media yesterday, Veno was saying he was a little bit tired. He was tired after day 1, rightfully so. 4 victory royales is not an easy feat. And of course, now, making it 5 on day 2, it's incredible.
Yeah, see, you're bringing up socials. I'm trying to think back to some of those tweets that we've been seeing Veno posting about Tayson as well, and it's like, mate, the threats aren't necessarily working as well. I don't think it's hitting Veno's mental in the slightest. Granted, it's all like in, good fun, I'm sure, since these teams tend to have a lot of respect for each other, but it is just insane to think that they seem to be working as a motivation factor.
Yeah. We came into this knowing full well they wanted to make a statement. They've done exactly that already, and there's still 5 games to go. Let's take a look at our standings, see exactly how the land lies after game number 7 here. This is how it currently holds up for us. You can see here, what a surprise. Queasy and Vino remaining at the top there, 551 points. I mean, Taco, this is unprecedented.
Yeah, 109 points in a single match here in Game 7. And if you're Mustache and Tayson, yeah, you've moved up 2 slots in the leaderboard. You're sitting at 353, but it's definitely going to be quite the battle. Closing the gap, maybe not so much, but for Mustache and Tayson, you can't appreciate the fact that they're still sticking to their own element.
Yeah, really solid game from these guys. At the beginning of the show, I was mentioning how those south zones might have had a little bit of a difficult impact on their gameplay, but this, another south zone rotating from the northern side of the map. So they've just answered all those questions. They've been hitting the VODs clearly and doing another good performance in game